The real estate industry is really slow right now. I mean, as you can imagine, home prices are just too expensive with the interest rates being higher than they have been in years. I mean, they've come down a little bit, but it's still a really frozen market. Not just that, we're entering into the holiday season, so a lot of buyers are sort of checked out, and sellers are actually, surprisingly, I'm seeing more houses than usual come on the market, and it's not really the best time for that. What I'm seeing out there is a lot of distress. I'm seeing where a lot of the inventory, people are in financial distress because they just bought the house. If you look back at the recent data, the last time the house sold, a lot of these houses that are hitting the market were bought in 2021, 22, 23. I've even seen a couple houses that were bought just last year, and the people have moved out. And in a lot of cases, we're starting to see listings now that say short sale or potential short sale, which means that the house is either being offered at a price that's less than what the borrower owes on the mortgage, or that it's potentially the case. Now, I haven't done this in a while, but I want to do some Q&A where, I look through the YouTube comments and sort of pick out some things that I think are important to talk about. So this comment is coming from a video that I did with a agent named Katie Spaniak. She is in Florida, but also has a Illinois presence. And we were kind of talking about the difference between, well, number one, how unprepared buyers are usually when they hire an agent. They don't interview properly. They hire their best friend. And a lot of times it ends badly because they didn't interview their agent. But we were really talking about the difference between people that specialize in working for sellers or buyers agents. She was saying, I don't like to deal with buyers because they're too emotional. This comment from an agent said, buyers agents need to be good listeners and have patience. Clearly, not all realtors have these qualities. And I think that that's true. But what you have to caution yourself with is if you're dealing with you're selling your house, you have to hire somebody to sell your house that you'd want to work with to buy another house if that's what you're doing, if you're moving on. But let me talk to you buyers for a minute, because if you are in the market to buy a house and you're in the process of interviewing an agent, which you should do, interview several agents, you do need to find someone that is paying attention. And maybe during the interview process, you can say things and then question them later to see if they were paying attention to you. Because if an agent's a bad listener, and you're going to be able to read through that if you qualify them and find out now before later, before you hire them. If you want a list of questions, interview questions for a buyer's agent, so if you're interviewing a buyer's agent, send me an email and I will shoot that over to you. You can also find it on our sacsrealty.education website. The next comment here is, I've been closely watching home sales in my local market on Zillow. My partner and I went out to a new neighborhood to visit a friend and were stunned by the number of houses for sale with signs out front that are not listed on Zillow. The real estate market may be much worse than the Zillow data is showing. What's happening now is the National Association of Realtors has approved the option for a seller to instruct their agent to not put their listing on sites like Zillow and Realtor.com and those types of consumer-facing platforms, which I think is ridiculous. Like, if you're a seller, why wouldn't you want as much exposure as possible? But the agents kind of get upset about it because they're like, yeah, but I did all the work and I got the listing and then I put it on Zillow and then they sell the leads. They're my leads. Get over it. This is the world that we live in right now. If you're an agent and that's your story, you need to get over yourself, because what you should be doing is wanting the best for your seller, and that's having the most eyes on the property and it getting the most exposure. But anyway, the way it used to work was that we use this, it's called coming soon status. So basically what would happen is I would have 24 hours from the minute that I put my sign in the yard in order to be compliant with the MLS, or you put it in the MLS and then put the sign in the yard. But if you're an agent that went ahead, ordered the sign within 24 hours of it being in the yard, you had to put it into your multiple listing service, and then you could put it in coming soon status up to 21 days before it had to go active. And if it's a brand new house, New construction, the rules were you could put it in for up to 2 years. Now they've sort of wiped that out and said you could put an existing home in coming soon indefinitely, as long as you had an estimated target date for it to go live. But what happens now is the seller can say, well, I'll let you pre-market my property prior to putting it on websites like Zillow. And there's boxes that they could sign in a listing agreement. It keeps it off the sites like Zillow, Realtor.com. There's consumer-facing sites that I was talking about. Well, what happened was Zillow got all bent out of shape. And they said, well, look, if you're not going to put that listing after you make it live, if you're not going to put it on the Zillow platform, then we're going to ban that listing for the lifetime of that listing. So it is true that you're probably seeing a lot more inventory out there on the street than what you're seeing on sites like Zillow. This next comment says that people are hiring bad real estate agents because they don't know how to find a good one, and also assume that if they have the proper credentials in the first place to be an agent, then they must be good. Very important. A lot of people will just look for the top performers, and there are a lot of bad agents or bad behaviors in some of those top performers. So you don't just look at an agent's past several years of performance and say, oh, they sold a lot of houses, they must be a good agent, and you just hire them anyway. You have to interview. And one of the things I want to tell you, whether you're hiring a agent to sell your house or help you buy a house, they have to have time. So that busy agent may have very little time for you, and that may frustrate you. So do me a favor and make sure that regardless of whether you're looking to sell your house or buy a house, that you interview multiple agents. You definitely want to see that they have sold a number of houses in the last year, 2 years, maybe 10 or 12 houses a year is a good number. But if you're looking at that agent that has sold 80 or 90 houses in the last 2 years, they may not have time for you. The next comment says, can you cover the wholesale real estate market and transactions, buying, selling, who and why? There's a loophole for this group of people called wholesalers. Most of them do not have licenses to transact or to sell real estate, which is, by the way, you need a license to sell real estate in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Well, wholesalers go out, and you've probably gotten postcards in the mail before if you own a house. And a lot of times it says that they will buy your house quick for cash, whatever. What happens is there's a loophole that gets them around not needing a real estate license, and that's that they're technically not selling a house, they're selling a contract. So they come out, they meet with the seller. Usually the seller is distressed and needs money right away. So the wholesaler will enter a contract with the seller and then sell that contract to another buyer, usually an investor, that will give the wholesaler a fee on top of that contract. So for instance, if they get the house for $100,000 from the seller, maybe the wholesaler will offer it to sell that contract, which binds the house. The seller will sell that contract that includes the house to an investor for $130,000, pocketing $30,000 without doing anything other than securing the contract with the seller. Now, if you're a wholesaler, you might say, well, that's a lot. And I get it. You're spending a lot of money on mailings. In my opinion, though, there should be no loophole to sell a contract with a property attached to it. What you're really doing is selling a house or selling a property, and you should be licensed. But hey, I don't make the rules, and it was shot down. There was legislation in Maryland that tried to ban wholesalers from doing this type of activity without being a licensed real estate salesperson. It got shot down, so a win to you wholesalers. And then finally here, somebody commented, waive the inspection, money wasted because inspectors don't give a damn, waste of money. Guys, don't listen to this comment. If you're buying a house, you want a home inspection, and you want a very good home inspector. You want somebody who's going to really be thorough, not to kill the deal necessarily, but to let you know exactly what kind of money that you could be spending to maintain or make repairs to that house, at least in the short term over the first couple of years of ownership. But there are bad inspectors out there, and there are agents out there because they're the ones feeding these inspectors work. A lot of agents will tend to hover around that easy inspector that won't find all the problems necessarily with the house, because maybe they put the commission check ahead of their client's interest. And in any industry, that could happen. I'm not saying that, all the agents are bad, that real estate agents are bad, but what I am saying is that it still comes back around to you as the buyer. It's up to you to do your due diligence. This is the largest purchase that you will make, or many people make, in their entire lifetime. And it's important that you do some due diligence and learn the process. And that's exactly why I wrote Todd's Simple Home Buying course. The link is in the comments. It's pinned in the comments. It's also in the show notes. Highly encourage you, if you're buying a house, it's $300. Spend the money. It will help you to become more educated and navigate this process. See you next time.
Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.